This is Michael from Deckard AI. Yes, that's our second year with AI with the Best. Last year was amazing, so we're here again. Today hey Axel, today I'm gonna be presenting working with machines on software teams. So this is what we do at Deckard. Before we start, let me refer to one quotation. Organizations which design systems are constrained to produce designs which are copies of the communication structures of these organizations. This is the Conway's law. And yeah, thank you very much. So this is the Conway's law. We very much believe this is true, and in order to make sure that the design systems work properly, we have to come up with smarter exploratory mediums. This is a term coined by Michael Nielsen. And we're going to use them by augmenting human perspectives, improving humans, basically, enhancing humans. So what we now call the machines is the fastest way in which we can augment humans. And in this context, software development is very special. Well, teams and developers need augmentation. We're super limited. We can't read all the files on the code from the code base. Code bases are usually very large, different programming languages, different repositories, a lot of data. Augmentation is like an ammo. It's close to your body, so it's good that you're independent of IDEs, you're independent of programming languages, you work everywhere. That's important. It has to be close to you. Software teams are not only developers, and developers speak, or different members speak different languages, and there are so many different interactions between different teams within the same company. So there are very, very many issues. And now Deckard, we're augmenting software team intelligence. And what does it really mean? Okay, so in this presentation, I'm gonna start by introducing what we do. Then I'm gonna tell you something about the current situation in software development. I'm gonna discuss problems and solutions, and I'm gonna refer to the future of the code. So let me start with the intro. Currently, onboarding of a new software developers takes around 3 months on average. Code looks very difficult to a junior developer. 2 junior developers are completely different. Everybody's different. And the guys who've worked for a company for the last 3 years, they have a lot of knowledge. They don't necessarily effectively share it. Knowledge is in many places. Those guys also leave companies, so it's not like they're gonna keep working for the company for their entire life. So we basically try to solve the onboarding problem. At the very beginning, we were trying to understand how programming works. So we started with a bot. We wrote a bot that learned how to write code, how to fix bugs, how to answer the what is question. So it basically scraped the data from the web, tried to learn about the code, and we used some question answering system we created a question answering system that provided you with, that gave you answer to those questions. We turned this into what we currently have, Deckard. Deckard, we say, enables your code to speak. So currently, your code is kind of naked, so it lacks context. So it's tough to understand. You're missing the story behind the code. So what we do is we have over 20 different programming languages integrated. We have over 20 different IDEs integrated. And we have Slack, Jira, Trello, GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, all operating systems, and we basically get all this data and connect it to the code. So now your code is not naked anymore. We have 3 standalone apps for 3 major operating systems and a web app. And we have a lot of spots for using machine learning at Deckard. So while we're doing all that, we collect a lot of information about developers, about how they interact with software. So we basically profile teams and software developers. We help solve smart code annotation problems. So we allow you to look at the specific part of the code and annotate it. meaning that you can connect information with that particular code. Then we introduce artificial members to your team that help you generate knowledge. And we call them Deckard bots. Also, we perform a lot of content summarization, meaning that we don't necessarily need to see all the data. It's the contrary. You really need to see the relevant data, the data that actually makes a lot of sense for you to solve the problem. You don't want distractions. So a lot of content summarization. Then we've come up with a very nice idea how to create smart links to code. Given that the code changes, the people do refactor the code, and there are many repositories in the same company. So we've came up with a smart way to create those code links. Then we provide you with a lot of recommendations based on your code base and based on your developer profile. So we'll see how you interact with the code, and we basically give you the most relevant information that you're gonna need in your context. And then finally, we also identify code snippets and identify developers. So a bunch of spots for doing machine learning. There are a couple of other things that we've been researching. I've mentioned some of them before 1 year ago, like including code reusability research, so trying to understand which code we can recommend to you, which code can be reusable, how to connect two different snippets of code. This is referred to as the code transplantation. Then there is this EDE thing, meaning extreme developer augmentation. So how to add more and more machines that can, or bots that can help you become a much better developer. So we are making you a much better developer by using Deckard. And then we've been doing other research experiments using with auto-folding, with extreme summarization, using Tazal, Namas. We've been playing around with call graph-based recommendations as well. So a bunch of spots for machine learning. But let's get back to what software development is and how Deckard works. So currently, one team is a bunch of perspectives. So you see project managers deal with team leads, deal with software developers. Then there are seniors and juniors and CTOs. There are processes, there is knowledge, there is development. There are ideas, there is time, there is client. There are very many ways in which you can see, in which you can view software development, one team. And Deckard basically structures them. So it makes all the connections more live, meaning that the data, the flow of the data is much more structured, the data is not lost and much more often reused. So two big terms, two big takeaways: reusability, like no loss of information, and reusability, you know. The next thing is there are so many different mechanisms on the same team. So there is product. So CTO is working with the product manager on product. There are processes. There is infrastructure. There is knowledge sharing. There are problems. And we believe that in order to improve this, we need to welcome new qualities. So stop thinking in terms of all of those parameters. Instead, treat machines as kind of children that we want to teach to help us. So we have to empower them to be able to help us better. So we have to give them a chance to work with us. So this is the old thing, and this is the thing with Deckard. So we basically introduce new roles and we automate problem solving. Because, for instance, imagine there were two developers talking about something on Slack, in Slack. And then, well, they talked about it, then they talked about some other things, and of course, this is Slack, so it's not only for coders. So then this information was completely lost. The other guys could not profit from it. With Deckard, you can profit from it. Not only the other guys would be able to see this information connected to the code, also they'd be able to have potentially some insights related to this knowledge generated by Deckard bots. Then the old story was data was scattered. Well, data is scattered, unstructured, not connected to the code. it's like we have it too late. It's very much out of date, and often it's not enough. And of course, we lose a lot of data. So that's what we currently have. And this is what you have with Deckard. So again, you have a lot of integrations. You can smoothly start working with Deckard, with any of your IDEs, with pretty much any programming language, and with most of your current stack, like with Slack, with Jira, with Confluence, with Google Drive, with Trello, with very many other technologies. So we embrace diversity and structure the way we share this information by introducing machines that can automatically understand which data is relevant in the current context. One team, this is yet another perspective. One team has one time. So they have their static workflow, which everybody's pretty much swamped with the tool. So CTOs, they know this, this, and this I have to use. This I could potentially try, this I could try. For the rest of the things, I probably don't have a lot of time. So a lot of static workflow. At the very same time, everybody needs to learn. I mean, if you're a software developer and you don't want to learn, you're not a very good software developer. So swamped with tools, lack of perspectives, like you're like pushing something that does not want you to be pushed. You know, you need to make it a sphere to be able to push it up the hill. So you're leaking knowledge, you lack the bigger picture, and you're swamped with the tools. So your workflow is very static. It's very rigid. So what Deckard does with it, it makes it more dynamic. So it uses, it allows you to manage knowledge in smarter ways. It creates better tools for you to understand knowledge. It provides you the knowledge that you need in the current context, and it generates the insights. So you don't need to take care of so many things. At the very same time, the knowledge you're creating is there. So you're saving time. So you see, that was the current situation in software development. A lot of different perspectives, a lot of different problems, like this. Now, we have some solutions to some of the problems. So this scattered knowledge that we have currently is connected to the code. So you used to have nodes, browser history, Jira, Slack, Google Drive, Wikipedia, Confluence, and your discussions. Now you can connect all that to the code. So you know what's important in your context. Everybody's going to be able to read it, and this knowledge is dynamic as compared to inline comments, which are static, and only senior developers change the comments of the other guys. And also, when somebody leaves the company and he wrote like a very big comment, and it's common even in very big and sophisticated repositories, like there is a one-page comment, it shouldn't be like this. We believe that it should be way more dynamic, way more structured, way better discussable, and easier to change. Also, when you have a lot of these comments, like inline comments like this, well, we believe that code should be kind of more self-explanatory. So we help you doing that. Sure, definitely. Hey, Steven, I'm gonna definitely do a demo today. Then we have lost knowledge. So we have bot-generated knowledge. So currently, what you have is you keep saying, I had this somewhere. Like I used to work with this and that, but now I don't remember what it is. So you ask him, where is this code? Where is this information? What library do you use it for? Or I don't know, we talked about this thing in Slack, but I don't have it anymore. Or I sent you an email some time ago, but for some reason I can't find it. Now you're gonna have it connected to the code. As simple as that, as simple as that. And bots will be generating knowledge for you, meaning that not all of the knowledge you have to generate yourself. We have a bunch of bots that do generate knowledge for you. We're gonna have way more soon. And then we have so many different sources of information. And via smart integrations, like for instance, we have an amazing integration with Slack or Jira. Like our Slack integration is super simple, it's super nice. If you like using Slack, and if your team uses Slack, we work perfectly with Slack. So you can basically save information from Slack using one of our, like a save command. So you directly save it from Slack, you put it from Slack to Deckard, and then you can also, so you're creating this card in Deckard, and then you can basically copy paste a card link from Deckard and put it to Slack, so that people, some other people, you can refer to this knowledge in Slack as well. So a very nice bi-directional integration. So we have a bunch of them. Like you can create knowledge from Deckard directly in Trello. You can create a GitHub or a Bitbucket issue. You can see the Jira tickets related to it. Very, very many things. Then many companies have this problem with legacy code. So sometimes the code is like very old, written in, say, COBOL or Fortran, very old libraries. People left the company 1 year, 2 years ago. The code base is in a bunch of repositories. A lot of problems like this. We help you solve it. So even if you are in like a very difficult situation and your code is almost like very, very difficult to understand, you can still start using Deckard, start documenting knowledge, put some of the comments, like take it out of the code, put some of it to Deckard, start generating this knowledge, and putting everything in one place. And then everybody's just gonna join the company. They will not see the code as it is currently. So you can really change a lot. And you know what's really important. So even if you have a lot of legacy code, you can really dramatically improve your performance using Deckard. Then data is distributed, but it's not distributed in a way that we actually want. Firstly, it's not so low-level information, so we don't really understand developers. We say, okay, this is a junior guy, this is a senior guy, but that's not really how it works. So every developer is different, and we, by collecting over 30 different metrics about developers, we can really understand them better. So we can help them collaborate better, and we make knowledge behind the code way more transparent. So we make your documentation more dynamic. We allow you to monitor what's happening, you know, but everything is very contextual. So try to imagine that we really try to understand developers. The more data we have, the better we understand developers. So we collect this data at the IDE level based on how you interact with your editor, based on your workflow, based on your collaboration, based on your interactions. We collect all of that data about every developer. Regarding your code, regarding data, I'm going to say that once. So we index your data, your code locally on your machine. So we don't send your code anywhere. Your code is as safe as it used to be. We do everything regarding indexing locally on your machines. Only the data related to discussions is stored in the cloud. The rest is on your machine. So we basically doing a lot of magic, yeah, and we put it on your machine. And then I want to tell you something. I want to show you how I see the transformation of software development, given all that I said, given all that I said so far. So firstly, we believe that we should treat programs like babies and coding as teaching, meaning that we should really invest in teaching machines. And we also believe that software development is special. So we believe we should really put a lot of, pay a lot of attention to teaching machines how to augment software developers. Now, we should be proactive information sharing. So we should be proactive and not just, okay, this information is here, go and find it. This information is here, go and find it. Bots should generate it for us. So we should generate this meta-knowledge, we should create new symbols, we should introduce assistants who can help you, who can create this knowledge for you. And then the big thing about all of that is that we should be able to detect what can be reused. So firstly, things should not be lost. Secondly, you should make sure that everything that you've created so far can be easily reused, and you should be in a position to find all this information you've created immediately. And even it's not even that you should be looking for it proactively. It should be that it should be given to you when you need it. So that's the big picture. This is how we see it. And to be able to solve the reusability and information loss problems on software teams, to boost productivity of software teams, we need to embrace diversity, meaning that we need to involve more developers, more machines, and do a lot of translation work, because developers are different. Machines are different. Developers are not used to working with machines. They work with other humans. So they all speak different languages. And the goal is to fill in the gaps and allow people to communicate so that they can really work the way they would in the ideal world. So what I like this term. So we try to automate the local automation. So we create new channels for data. Yeah, definitely. Dave's gonna show it soon. So we're creating new channels. We're generating new insights, and we're making the entire interaction between software developers less rigid. Thank you, Lihan. Also, what we're trying to do is we want to allow both common and individual growth within structures. So every developer, they should, given that we understand them, we really do see them as individuals. And that pretty much means that we can really help them grow within the company, grow within the structure, create a smaller structure within the structure. Thank you, Oliver. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give you the demo. You're gonna love it. It's very nice that so many people excited. Okay, and regarding writing code, we're also researching. We know what's happening in this machine writing code environment. So basically, writing code, enabling machines to write code, is difficult. Learning high-order programs requires highly structured models. And in programming, locality and exactness are very important. So for instance, if you are writing if x is greater than 5, you really need it, right? So coding data is very specific. At the very same time, a lot of code can be reused. So the reusability problems are very interesting. These are one of the things that we're trying to solve and help developers with as well. Another thing in this area, in this context, is plasticity. So plasticity is needed. Like, we have a bunch of approaches, like neural programmer interpreters. We have like memory interactions. We have VINs or NTMs, like different approaches to those plasticity problems, to helping developers. I don't know, to helping generate knowledge, generate code, basically. There are other approaches as well, like semantic parsing and extreme summarization of the content. We use extreme summarization for the content. Now there is NPS, like neural program synthesis. I don't know if this term exists, collaborative coding, probably yes, but I wrote it here. So with those machines, we could basically write programs together, and this program is going to be different because currently they will not really write code for us, but they can recommend things to us. They can give us information. This is what we currently get. And the next thing is, in this research that we've been doing, is that we have a lot of low-level developer behavior data. So we know how you interact with your IDE. We know what you do. So in this way, we can really understand who as a developer you are, how you're writing code, what could be your potential problems, what is your current context. So a lot of these things. Okay, we're slowly approaching to the demo. So before we do the demo, I'm gonna conclude everything. So we make your code speak. So with Deckard, you basically work with your IDE together with Deckard, and it tells you everything that is related to the code. So all the story behind the code. You can then reuse the code. You have all the relevant information that you need, and it's very easy to understand. We achieve it by introducing machines to software teams. And by making code easier to understand and navigate through. So this is something also that we do. We help you navigate through the code more effectively. Okay, guys, now we can start with the demo. So one question, do you see my screen now? I want to make sure that you can see everything perfect. Very nice. So on the left side, you have my IDE. On the right side, you have Deckard. Deckard works in a couple of modes. The first default mode is your personal assistant. And your personal assistant is this, what you currently see here. On the left side, I have my IDE. This is Sublime. I use a lot. I actually use Visual Studio Code and Atom, but I decided to use Sublime. I know a lot of people use Sublime. Hey, Valentina. So on the left side, you see some code. For instance, this function remove file from project. If I double click on it, I see all the information about this code. I see some knowledge generated by Deckard, like this directory includes the code responsible for this. Then I see some information related to the commits. Like I see this guy, Aurel, my friend, he wrote 2 messages, and those are 2 last commits he's made. Then I'm gonna see a lot of pull requests and everything if there are any. I see that this function is used only in one place, but if I click on this code rep, for instance, I see it's used in multiple places. And now what I can do, I see the big picture immediately while browsing the code, and now I can switch. For instance, now I see I want to go to this place, I click, and I go there directly. So instead of me searching, I basically see what's happening to the code, and I can ask my IDE to go there directly. Now, for instance, let's say I'm interested in commenting this function, for instance, this add file to project. What I can do, well, I learn here that it's used in this explain Python file. I also learn this is how it's used. I see there are not very many comments here, so I can basically, I double clicked, and now I can connect it to the code. Like I can specify those are the directories here, or a file or file names. I can say, okay, this is about this specific line of code or this specific file. I'm gonna write a message. So for instance, I don't know, I'm gonna copy paste this, add file project and missing checks, I don't know. And then I'm gonna say, this should be fixed. And I'm gonna mention someone, like in Facebook, I'm gonna mention myself. And I can tag this information. It's already tagged by a repository. I can add a new tag, like in Twitter, say, I don't know, a bug. It's not a bug, but let's do it like this. And then we're gonna create this message. And now, yeah, my computer is kind of slow, okay. And now I can see this message here. So if I go to another file, say this fab file here, and I double click, I see some other information in Deckard. I don't see this message anymore. When I go back and research this code as a different developer, now I see this message connected to the code. I see it's here. I can move it to my to-do lists and start working on it. I can also create a Jira ticket. I can create a Trello card. I can create a Bitbucket issue or a GitHub issue. So it's very simple. I can remove the message. I can also copy paste this link to the code and put it, for instance, in Slack. So then some other people will be able to read this message. Even if they don't use Deckard, like for instance, you're working with your teammates, not everybody's using Deckard yet, you want to convince them to use Deckard, you then basically just copy paste this link here, you send them the link, and if they want to participate in the discussion, if they want to see what's really happened with the code, you can do it. You can very easily change everything, like you can, I don't know, like you can edit things. You see in this personal assistant, you see all the data that you need to be able to, you see our recommendations, like for instance, this might be relevant, this file, and this file might be relevant to you. So we know you as a developer, and we're recommending, okay, those might be the locations that are relevant to your current work. Okay, and then let me show you how it works. So I have my to-do list here. As a developer, I see, okay, those are the tickets, those are the bugs, the business cases, the clients, everything. Let's say I want to learn about something specific, like say, I don't know, authentication. So I just search for authentication, and now I do have a bunch of tickets here, like ticket management, for instance, team management. I can go there and I can see how we're doing team management. Do you understand that? So this knowledge is connected to the code. Now imagine you have all this, like we have all this knowledge in the places that we need. You know, so we have everything about authentication, we have everything about testing. Whatever you want, whatever you need, you're gonna find it in Deckard. Okay, my computer is kind of okay. Like for instance, I don't know, you see a lot of data generated by Deckard bots. So it's not only us generating data, but it's also Deckard bots. Like you see that it detected something, is writing some information. It's connected it to the code. You see a lot of different people discussing things, everything's connected to the code. Whenever you need it, you have it in the right place. You can have a look at my, I don't know, at my to-dos. So I have a bunch of to-dos. They are very much like in Google Inbox. Like for instance, I can use Deckard in this mode. Let me show you how I do it. I can use it like this. Imagine I have just one screen. So I don't want to sacrifice any space. Super simple setting. A lot of developers use it like this. I'm basically researching this code. And usually, well, if I wanted to do something and understand this code, what I'd have to do would be, I'd have to, pretty much search for something. Like you basically search like, I don't know, Control, Command, F, like this, and then you search. You get a lot of poor results, you keep searching, etc., etc. Also, of course, there are many different IDEs, so it works differently across different IDEs. It doesn't necessarily work across all the repos. Very, very many different problems, but you know how it works already. So here in Deckard, for instance, I'm interested in this file rep. I double-clicked on it, and now I basically do this, and I see this information regarding this project. So it's very simple. I can give you an example of yet another project. It's Elasticsearch. I should have it here. And now I'm going to open it. So as you know, it's a very large repository. I'm going to look for some Java file. Okay, for instance, I don't know, maybe this one. Okay, that's one of the files. And now I click on it, like this, on this R limit. And let's see what's happening with Deckard. So right now I double clicked there. Okay, I double clicked, and Deckard, I'm going to put it like this here, is currently indexing this file, and it's currently gonna give you all the insights related to this file. You see that it's currently writing the displayed results might be incomplete as your project is still being analyzed. It takes, like, I don't know, for a repository like this, like 30 seconds pretty much. So it's very fast, and then you can basically see all the data. So for instance, in this case, okay, let me do it like this for now. You can basically just double click somewhere and you already have all the information from Elasticsearch. So I was working with a different repository just a couple of minutes ago, and now I see all the insights about this code from Elasticsearch. So I see all the knowledge that we've connected to Elasticsearch repository because we were working on it. So I see, I don't know, I see the faces of people working there. I could basically write to the guys, mention them, and start talking to them about the project. I see some other some information that we added here. For instance, this one's probably not something important. I can remove it. So you see, it's dynamic. It's not like an inline comment that we have in the code that nobody can change it. It's more like everybody can change it now, right? It's like very, very simple to remove this information. Okay, yeah. Okay, I wanted to show you one thing. So let me do it. I'm gonna hide the Deckard like this. This is a very cool setting, so I want to make sure that I have it. Okay, I have it. Now let's find some other file, like a bigger file in this project. Maybe, I don't know, this one. Okay, it's still not very big. I click on the scoping. I want to learn about the scoping, and now I do the shift. You see, I'm not sacrificing any screen, any like place on the screen. I basically just click here and get the insights, everything that is related to this file. Like for instance, here I get, I don't know, bite the bullet, and I don't know, somebody wrote this message. I have no idea what this message is about. But for instance, I want to learn about this injector. I can go here. I see, okay, this injector is not like used in many places. Okay, maybe something else. And then I'm basically researching. I want to document something. I can document it. Given what we already have, I can get back to my to-do list. I can get back to my activity. I can see what my other teammates are doing. They've been working on some other things regarding this code. I see, okay, those are the guys. Those are the things we're interested in. I can take a look at my recent comments. I can do very many things with Deckard. My computer is kind of slow now, so okay. And basically what I want to show you next as well is our Slack integration. It's a very cool feature, so that's gonna be an exciting experience. So let's assume that I want to save some information here. For instance, I don't know, team in Deckard. And I want to write, hello world, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's not a very important message, probably. But let's say I'm interested in it. I can save it like this, in Deckard. And what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? This is gonna happen. Deckard bot is gonna save it in Deckard, and we can then open it here. And how do we find it even? It's also very simple. Even if I don't want to click on this and find it, I can very easily find it by just using keyboard shortcuts. And you see, we have this message from Slack, hello world. Somebody generated it here from Slack. It's like this. And now what I can do, I can connect it to the code. For instance, I don't know, this is related to this particular file. I'm just gonna connect it to the code, and I'm gonna have it there forever. I mean, it's still discussable, so it's not like an inline comment. Everybody can change it. Everybody can do something. Okay, guys, so we have a bunch of these integrations. I can basically click on this message, and I can, I don't know, I can create a Jira ticket. I can create a Trello ticket. Let me show you how we create a Trello ticket. It's as simple as that. I just clicked on it, and then you go to your Trello, and you see a message like this. You see this hello world, and you can add it to your tickets. And now you have a ticket. So we have a bunch of these integrations and a bunch of information generated by Deckard bots for you. You can also, if you want to write a bigger message, you can like turn to use Deckard like this, full screen. And then there is this very cool mode, like you click here and you can write bigger messages. You can format them with Markdown, pretty much like in GitHub. So it's like super simple. And one other thing, so we are 4 software teams. We're not only 4 software developers. So we make product managers, project managers, and I don't know, designers. Everybody can use Deckard within the software team, and everybody can find their own way of using it. So it's like, imagine that there is this one intelligence behind all your knowledge that is in one place, that is integrated with 20 different programming languages, with 20 different IDEs, with Slack, Trello, Jira, Confluence, and other data sources. And now you have it in one place. Everything that is relevant to you, everything that you needed is in one place. Okay, guys, that was my demonstration of Deckard. Do you have any questions? I'll be very happy to answer your questions. So the first question is, thank you, Axel, thank you. So Nicholas, the first question is, okay, so the first question is from Nicholas. Can we chat with the bot asking some complex asking something complex. So we do have a bot like this in the current, so we used to have it like a couple of months ago, this bot where you could basically ask an arbitrary question about the code and it would give you an answer. So we could basically have it again. Currently we don't have it because we're trying to find what are the most important things. So you basically interact with the bots and then they generate everything for you. But we could definitely have it. Like for us, we already have it, but it's not in this app. It used to be in the app like some time ago. The second question from Chintan. Looks like a good metadata enrichment tool for code. Can you talk about how the code is made more reusable? Yes, so in multiple ways. Firstly, whenever currently you're basically just writing inline comments, and those inline comments are old, developers leave companies, you don't understand this code anymore. By making comments more dynamic, you make discussion more alive and therefore more valuable. So it's more informative about the code. You really do understand the reasons behind the code. You can understand code. So this is point number one. Point number two, that you can understand the code faster. When you look at it, you understand the story behind the code. So you can more easily reuse it. Also, we have Deckard bots that can recommend code snippets to you if you want. So in many, many ways. Reusability is a big thing for us, and we're also thinking about this. The next question from Steven. Does it work with Team Foundation Server? Unfortunately, I've never worked with Team Foundation Server. Well, we work with Git repositories. So it has to be a Git repository so that you can work with it. It can be either GitLab or GitHub or Bitbucket, but it has to be Git. Thank you, Razvan, for the nice words. Shintan again, the next question, wouldn't you still need to apply human intelligence to digest all this info? Sure, we need humans and we need software developers, we need software teams, and we need product managers and other team members within software teams. So it's not like machines are already writing the entire code for you. It's more like we're augmenting human intelligence to help developers be more productive, to help software teams be more productive, to create this intelligence behind software teams. That's the thing. So now you have the code and it's completely naked, everything's scattered, unstructured. Whoever works with a different IDE, they're gonna have problem like communicating their knowledge with another guy who works with a different IDE. Also, it doesn't work, like many tools that we have don't work across repos. We still use inline comments, which are super deprecated. I mean, it's super old way of doing things because nobody wants to change inline comments created by someone who worked at the company 6 months before us. He left the company and we don't really understand, like fully understand his code. So sure, we do need to apply human intelligence still. And what we're trying to achieve first is to augment human intelligence to make humans more capable. That's the thing. This is what we're doing. Not only humans as individuals, but software teams, so groups of humans. Thank you, Lihan, for the nice words. Thank you very much. So the question is, what's your position in the market comparing to your competitors? What's your sales points? So our position in the market is we're currently doing, so it's knowledge management and collaboration platform and a software assistant for software teams. So this is what we're doing. Regarding to our comparing us to our competitors, well, we're completely different than some of the tools that some of the guys mentioned before this presentation. I talked to a couple of guys. So firstly, we introduce a lot of bots and artificial intelligence to help you generate knowledge for you. We integrate many sources of information. So it's not like we work with just one IDE. So if there is a tool that helps developers be more productive, but it just works with Eclipse, we're different. If somebody's doing just documentation, we're just completely different. We're trying to create a personal assistant that is creating new communication channels, is building this intelligence from taking intelligence, scattered intelligence from multiple sources of information, and we try to put it in one place. where our service points are basically, we make software teams more productive. So we boost productivity of software teams. That's thing number one. Thing number two, we help individual developers by understanding them. We help them grow within companies. So we boost their interest in doing something, in learning. We also generate documentation and create this intelligence behind your code. So your code is not naked anymore, meaning that you have a deliverable that you can touch, maybe not exactly touch, but you have it there. You've been working on this project, and now this knowledge is not lost. So loss of knowledge is also an important problem. So we work with so many different sources of information, so that, and we integrate them in smart ways so that you can annotate information, annotate your code. So connect your information from many sources of data to the code. Again, next question from Ihan. How do you forecast the future of Deckard AI better in different perspectives, tech, business? So we hope to create more productivity bots. We want to have more integrations. We're working closely with our clients to improve our existing integrations. We're also adding new ones. We've just launched the Windows version, so we are super happy because we are finally operating system independent. We hope that Deckard AI is gonna be a place where it's gonna be like a platform generating knowledge, generating intelligence for you, making your developers and other team members on software teams way more productive. This is where we want to go. Eventually, we want to use this data to be able to create better programmers, like make programmers write better programs and make them understand code faster. In terms of different perspectives, so in terms of technology, we want to go into the direction of automation. So we want to automate and generate a lot of intelligence. We want to create new channels using bots. We also want to have a lot of new integrations and make the entire flow, like your workflow, much more dynamic. This is what we want to do, and we want to do it with technology. Regarding business, we want to create currently you just have your code, and now you're not only going to have your code, you're going to have a platform where everybody will be able to interact with another team members and learn about code much faster, write new code much faster. Onboarding will be very easier. So onboarding of new developers, getting them on board, is going to be very much easier. Your documentation is going to be dynamic. You're not going to be suffering from the old way, or from the old way of documenting things. So very many things in business from the business perspective as well. Thank you very much. I hope you guys liked it. If you have any other questions, you can feel free to ask me. You have my email. If not, our friends from the AI with the Best, they can share it with you. Thank you, Razvan. If you have, I don't know, if you want to talk about something, just get back to me. You know Deckard, you can start using Deckard. I can also do a demo for you. We can help you, if you want to learn how to use Deckard, we can help you understand it better. We can help you install it. We can help you, onboard your team to make them use it. Okay, thank you very much, guys, again for today. That was very nice. I really enjoyed today's presentation, and I hope, I hope we're gonna meet at the next one, AI with the Best. And it was a pleasure talking to you. I hope we're gonna, if you have any questions about Deckard, feel free to ask. See you, bye.